Hey everybody, this is Athletes and Antiquities, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about single point failures in your business model and how to avoid them. So the term single point failure, or SPOF, is an engineering term referring to an element in a system that has no redundancies. And because of its lack of redundancies and the reliance that the system has on it, its failure would result in the failure of the entire system. Now, an easy example of this is a single point failure. It is a chain. In a chain, every element is a single point failure. If any point on that chain breaks, the entire utility of the chain kind of becomes null. And that's where, where the phrase, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, comes from. But a more like, I guess you could say, complex example of a single point failure is a trunk of a duct in construction. I work as a construction engineer, and the trunk of a duct is like the central duct that all components branch off of. And if that central duct fails, it'll result in a failure of every capillary duct further along the system. But how does this relate to collectibles? Whether you buy and sell as a job, or you do it on the side to fund your collection like myself, you have to be wary of single point failures in your business model. You should look at all of the streams of income that are under your business umbrella and identify the most crucial ones. Those ones that, if that doesn't work out, will the business as a whole be able to still operate? If those crucial streams were to dry up, how can you pivot into something else, to keep the money machine burning? And I would like to mention that I'm by no means a collectibles investing mogul. I don't move six figures annually. I simply buy and sell on the side of my day job to help fund my collection. So failure is not exactly the right word for me in particular, and I'm sure for a lot of you, but if you're reliant on this, it can be a legitimate concern. Even for someone as small as myself who does very low volume, very low dollar amounts, it's still important to have different types of products available. Different genres of collectibles available. So if something is not doing well, I can, shift my buying and selling elsewhere. I try my best to have a variety of sealed product, vintage singles, modern, some vintage sealed, etc. And this also helps with appreciation as well. That's another big point here, is keeping an inventory float from all eras helps you benefit from any sudden unforeseen price spikes. As much as pokey investors like to brag that they predicted the market before a spike, 9 times out of 10 they just happen to own that product and capitalize on like a FOMO surge of something. The broader the base of your inventory, the better chance you have to catch those waves and sell into a hot market, because 9 times out of 10 you or myself didn't predict a certain price swing. It's merely the luck of having that item. So having that broad base allows for those things to happen. I like to remind everyone that I'm purely discussing items purchased with the intent to resell. This should not influence your thought process on items that you're buying for a collection. Like I do have some variety of a collection, but there are very specific areas that I go for very heavily, just because those are the things that I'm interested in. And this doesn't apply to that, because those aren't bought with the intent to resell. You can collect as broad or as narrow as you like, but for weathering future upswings and future downturns, if that's something that's important to you, it's good to have that broad base to avoid, either two things can happen if you do have a very small, narrow business model, or if you're doing this with a collection but with a financial focus, is an upswing could benefit you greatly. it's basically, it's more of a gamble to say, you know what, I'm gonna put all my money into this element, whether it's this specific sealed product, this specific graded card, this specific raw card, whatever it may be. The narrower you get, the larger potential you have for a massive upswing, a massive profit off of that, but you're also exposing yourself to a lot more risk. So, you know, in a collection that you're not trying to sell, who cares? If I bought this jump bluff for like 20 bucks. My cost basis is so low, and I'm also not planning on selling that. If it goes down, if it goes up, that doesn't really affect me much. But if I was looking at this from, I plan to sell this in 3 years, I might not want to. Like, this is with the 4 cards you're seeing here is a very narrow focus. It's all early 2000s, late 90s, you know, promos and Japanese set cards. That's a very focused element that, you know, one group of people would probably enjoy. That there's a group of people that all of these would probably fall under, or just a few of them, but you'd be missing a large part of the market that's doing very hot right now. If you're merely looking at, you know, PSA pop reports to base your entire decision, like, oh, this era is a very low pop report, I think that's gonna, you know, be the next surge. You can hit that, but you can also miss a lot of things. And, you know, as a collector, I have missed a lot of those things. I don't really deal much with modern, and to see it go so crazy, it's good for the people that are involved in it, but it hasn't affected me much, you know, for the better and for the worse, because there's been a lot of pitfalls with that as well. So, you know, if you are looking at this from a financial perspective, I want to ask, like, how do you make those decisions? How do you decide between, you know, I'm going to go for this percent of sealed, this percent of singles? Do you look at that at all, or is it merely just a feel kind of thing? Do you have certain goals you try and hit with your inventory, a certain amount of things floating in your shop, a certain sell-through rate? How do you look at those things, and do you look at the type of person that would buy that item? Is the same person looking to buy all of your items, or do you have a wide, you cast a wide net that, oh, this can appeal to, you know, parents of kids, this can appeal to hardcore Gen 1ers. Remember when Gen 1 used to be a thing, like in 2016, 2017, people were putting labels on that kind of stuff. Like, but if you look at who is the target demographic, or what type of person would be interested in that product, it can really help you figure out, do you kind of where to diversify, where not to diversify. And I just want to ask you guys, you know, like, what outlook are you guys looking at? Are you looking at keeping things for 5 years, keeping things for 10 years? Again, this is more me asking you. I don't have much input myself because I am much more of a collector than a seller, but I do want to ask the people out there that are sellers how they make those decisions. Are they strategic, or is it kind of just a, hey, buy what's hot, or I guess it's like momentum trading, honestly, for cards? How do they make those decisions? So definitely give me some feedback on that, because this is more me asking you and less me giving you my own personal anecdotes, because a lot of this stuff is, you know, something that I don't deal with on a day-to-day. So let me know what you think. Thanks.